Hello students, welcome to the group research project we're going to be working on during weeks 13 and 14. So students will be having 2 weeks to work on a group project. Now it is very important for us to learn to work with groups. And I hear it every semester, Miss, I don't like working in groups, or it is very difficult to work with group members. But in the real world, we have to work with others. So on top of learning accounting, I always like to embed in my courses a project to where students get to work and collaborate with their group members, whether this be a face-to-face class or an online class. Now, with all of the technology available nowadays, there is really no reason why we cannot successfully complete a group project. So there's really no excuses for us to be able to either use Skype, Teams, WhatsApp. There's just so many different things to use to be able to communicate and work together. Now, this group project does have a purpose. Some students say, well, Dr. Mercado just likes to give work to keep us busy. No, I do not, okay? All of my assignments have a purpose, and this particular project has a very important purpose. If you look at your course syllabus, we have specific course learning outcomes that we have to meet, okay? One of those course learning outcomes, and specifically course learning outcome number 7, it states that students need to be able to describe the conceptual differences between International Financial Reporting Standards and U.S. Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. The textbook that we currently use does not have a lot of information about the topic. That is why I assign a research assignment. Okay. Now, let me jump over to Blackboard for modules for weeks 13 and 14. Okay. Now, in weeks 13 and 14, I have provided to you for now 2 things. Okay, you will see another thing populate. I am recording this lecture before the semester begins, so I don't have the group distribution list yet. I like to hold off on the group distribution list until when we're very close to actually getting to week 13 for the purpose that some students drop or they're not participating or whatever the case might be. Okay, so when I assign my groups, I reach out to those students that are not participating because I don't want to put students into groups and then they're not going to help out. Okay, and even if I do that, I still have some students that end up not participating. Okay, so this is a group project. Only the students that participate, contribute to the assignment will earn points. Okay, so that is why I have the self and peer evaluation. If you have 1 or 2 group members that never participated, didn't do any of the slides, didn't record any lectures, you never heard from them, then you let me know on the self and peer evaluation. That way I can evaluate and give a grade according to the participation of the student. Now, we are all adults, and I expect that if you are placed into a group, that you participate, that you reach out to your group members, and that you contribute to the assignment. Okay? Now, let's begin by looking over at the group project requirements. Okay? What are we going to research? Well, if you click the first tab here, that is where you're going to be submitting your completed group project. Okay? But if you open it up, you'll find the information that you need. Okay? I have a lot of students say, well, I'm going to make up the group project. No, you're not making anything up. I have provided you with an outline of what you need to submit. And please make sure that you review the requirements carefully and that you satisfy each of the requirements in full. Okay, so let's start with the group project requirements. I provided a PDF file. Let me go ahead and download it. That way it's a little bit bigger. Okay. So I've provided you with the group project requirements. I go over the information here. I'm not going to read over all of this. All of you know how to read. Just some key areas. Working alone is not an option unless you have some kind of a disability and it is documented to where you cannot work with others. Okay. If you don't have any accommodations for working in groups, then everybody's going to be in a group. Okay. So I don't want to hear it, well, Miss, I work and it's very difficult for me to work in a group. Can I do it alone? The answer is no. We need to be able to figure out a way to work with others, to adjust our times and be able to contribute. Okay? So the group project aims to conduct research, to be able to identify conceptual differences between IFRS and GAAP. That is one of our course learning outcomes. Like I stated earlier, this is not busy work. This is to satisfy one of the requirements of the course. We need to be familiar with the topic. And like I stated, our textbook highlights a little bit of information, but it doesn't quite give us the detail that we need, okay? And even though we have not converted to international financial reporting standards, that can be something that can happen in the near future. So even though we're not going to be covering international financial reporting standards in our class, I do want students to become aware of what it is, where it's being used, what it entails, stuff like that, so we can at least have a general understanding of it. Okay, so the group project is going to have the following requirements. These are the requirements for the presentation, the layout, the length, all of that good stuff. Okay, so the PowerPoint presentation needs to be between 10 to 13 slides of content. This excludes the cover page and the reference page. This is 10 to 13 slides of actual information. Okay. On top of the 10 to 13 slides of actual content, I need a cover page and I need a reference page. That is in addition to the 10 to 13 slides of content. Now, each of the slides needs to have notes. Okay, this is a presentation for my face-to-face classes. If you will be delivering the presentation in class, the notes is what you can take to class, not necessarily read off of it, but use it as a guide to when you're delivering your presentation. For my online students, you can use this as a foundation to when you're delivering your presentation using the audio component. Okay, each slide must have 150 to 250 words. Okay, this is where the research happens. Okay, on the actual slide itself, you're going to put key information, key phrases, highlight certain things, maybe a timeline, a picture, whatever you feel is important. And then on the notes, you are going to elaborate on the information and provide the detail. This is where the research is basically housed. Okay. So if you don't have or you don't meet the requirements, points will be deducted. Okay. The slide's content should consist of key phrases, points, or information, and your notes section should supplement the information that needs to be explained within each slide. Okay. Do not overload your slide with information. What I've had in the past students do is they overload the slide with information and then they just copy and paste that into the notes. That is not acceptable. The information in the slide should be different than the information in the notes. Okay? You might have key phrases in the actual slide, and then in your notes you elaborate. That is what I'm looking for. Okay? Your notes should elaborate or supplement the information you are presenting within the actual slide. Please make sure that you cite your sources within the notes section of each slide and the actual slide itself. Okay? This is very important. All group members must participate in the research, preparing, and delivering the presentation. Okay? Unless you have a disability to where you cannot speak, and that has happened before, then I will allow someone else to do the audio for you. But that would be basically the only reason if you are not able to speak. Okay? So if you do not have that type of a disability where you're able to speak, then you are being required to participate in the delivery of the presentation. Okay. For my face-to-face classes, students must present the slides they worked on the day of the presentation. And the reason I ask students to present their slides is because they've done the research on that specific area, so they should be comfortable and familiar with the content, and that will just ease the process. Okay. For my online students, I recommend the same thing, to please record the slides that you worked on. There has to be an audio file for each of the slides. I will not accept presentations that are missing the audio. Okay, so please make sure that each of your slides has embedded audio where I just click a button and I can hear it. Okay, please be very careful. I've had students in the past use what is it that they use? They use different software, and then they have issues recording the actual presentation because they didn't use PowerPoint, and they send me a whole bunch of audio files all over the place. I don't want 100 audio files, okay? And then I don't even know where they belong. I need the audio to be tied to each of the slides. Okay, and I'll show you in a minute. I have provided you with some guidance as to how to do that. I recommend and encourage students to use PowerPoint. It just makes it so much easier to actually record the information within each of the slides. Okay. So when presenting your section, please state your name. When there is a transition from one presenter to the next, that way the audience can know who is speaking. Also, please make sure, whether you're in an online class or a face-to-face class, I don't care. Please make sure that within each of the notes section, you include your name. That way I know that Mickey Mouse did slides 3 and 4, Donald Duck did slides 5, 6, so that way I can be able to tie your contribution to the project, okay? And this also helps me figure out how is it that you distributed the work, okay? Please make sure that you distribute the work fairly and equally amongst each other, okay? I've had some students that, each group member had 4 slides that they worked on, and then one group member only had 1 slide. Well, why is that? It should be an equitable distribution, okay? So when you are working on distributing the work, make sure that you say, okay, you're going to work on requirement 1, and the expectation is to have 2 slides or 3 slides or whatever. Please make sure that you lay out the expectations for each of your group members, okay? A title slide must be included, which includes the names of all group members that participated only, okay? So let's say, for example, I put 5 students in a group and only 3 ended up working on the project. Okay. Only include the names of those 3 students that worked on the project. I don't care that you include the other 2 group members because they didn't have any contribution to the group project. So there is no need to include them because they are not going to get a grade for it because they did not participate. Okay. So only make sure to include the name of the group members that participated. Okay. For my face-to-face classes, please make sure that you assign 1 group member to introduce the group members and the title, maybe provide a short overview of what the presentation entails. For my online classes, the same thing. Please make sure that you designate 1 group member to start up the presentation from the title slide, introducing the group members, the group, what is going to be covered in the presentation, and so on and so forth, okay? So that's going to basically set the tone, introduce all of you, and then we begin covering the content, okay? A reference page needs to be included and all of the sources need to be organized alphabetically, okay? So if you have 3 or 4 group members, you have to combine all of your resources. Make sure that if you have any duplicates, you delete them, and then you organize all of your references in alphabetical order, okay? In-text citations within the slides and notes sections must be included. Please make sure that you paraphrase your information. Don't just copy and paste it. That is plagiarism, okay? So even if you obtain information from a source, you put it into your own words, you still have to cite it because you did get that information from a source, okay? There is a report that I run. If I identify that plagiarism is detected, you can be reported or you will be reported. So please make sure that you always cite your information. I will be doing a thorough review of your submission, okay? If you need any assistance with citations, organizing the information, just a reminder, STC does have the CLE lab and they do have assistance with writing. Okay, so please make sure that you use the resources if you have access to them. STC also has online tutoring. If you want a review of your work, please make sure that you go into the CLE lab website and get that assistance. Okay. I've provided you with some additional resources that are going to help you with your citing that is provided. Now, this is not an English class. I don't expect perfection, but I do expect you to try and to give me, by now, you should know how to write a paper and how to cite accordingly, okay? So please make sure that you use all of the knowledge that you have or look into YouTube, Google it, whatever is it that you need to be able to submit your work, okay? We are using the APA format. Students are encouraged to include visuals, examples, statistics, graphs, charts, and images for their presentation. That way they provide a better understanding of the content they are providing. Okay. Aim for a professional and engaging presentation style. Use clear and concise language. Okay. Now, I know there is a lot of use of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is not allowed to create your presentation. Okay, you need to do the research yourself. Okay, if I do identify students are using artificial intelligence to create their presentations, the entire group will earn a 0 on the assignment. Okay, the research must be conducted by each group member using accredited sources. Okay. Now, that is just the layout and the content of the actual presentation. What are we going to present? So we have 5 requirements that need to be satisfied within the presentation. The first requirement is to provide a history or background of why and how international financial reporting standards and U.S. generally accepted accounting principles were developed. Letter B, you're going to provide a detailed, look at the word, detailed overview explaining IFRS and GAAP. This can include, but is not limited to, the purpose, the mission, the users, the structure. Any information that you find important and relevant, you include it in the B section. Okay? Now, the C section is the most important section of them all. Okay, letter A and B sets the tone, provides background, provides concrete basic information so we can be able to understand what is it that we're doing. Okay, now in requirement C, we're going to identify and explain 3 significant differences between IFRS and GAAP. Now, these differences should explain how IFRS and GAAP accounting practices or principles differ. Okay, please include a side-by-side comparison of the differences and provide an example of each. Okay, so accounting for inventory is different in IFRS and GAAP. How is it different? What does IFRS do? What does GAAP do? And provide an example. Okay. Do not include as a difference that one is rules based and the other is principle based. Do not include as a difference that GAAP is used in the USA and IFRS is used international. Those are not accounting practices or principles different. I want to know specific accounting practices or principles that are different between the two. Please make sure to explain in detail. Okay, maybe the presentation of your financial statements is different. How is it different? Explain it to us and if possible, show us. Okay, this is a balance sheet using GAAP. This is a balance sheet using IFRS. And if you can see, this and this and this is different. Okay, so those are the things that I want. This is the core of the assignment. Okay, explaining those differences. Okay, so please make sure that you assign it distributively to maybe different group members work on each difference because it is a lot of work. Okay. After that, you're going to provide 3 reasons why IFRS has not been implemented in the United States. Please be detailed and includes facts and statistics. Why are we not using it in the US if it's so good? Okay. Now, lastly, does your group believe IFRS will be implemented in the United States soon? Why or why not, and support your reasoning with published data. Now, this is a group response. Okay, I don't want to see in your slides, I believe that we will, or I believe. It's not I, it's we. Okay, as a group, we believe that IFRS will not be implemented, or as a group, we believe that IFRS will be implemented. Whatever is it that you decide, and then explain your reasoning why. Okay. The group project is worth 100 points. That is 1 letter grade. Okay. I will provide students with a group distribution. I will put you into groups. You don't get to choose your groups. I will put you into groups and I will provide you with that information. I will post the group distribution on Blackboard as soon as that is available. Okay. A reminder, only group members that participate will earn the assignment points. If for whatever reason you exclude a group member, let's say it's been a week and these group members have not responded, you need to move on and work on your project. Okay. Send me a quick Blackboard message saying, hey, miss, Donald Duck has not reached out to us. We've tried communicating with him 5 times and we have not obtained a response. We will exclude him from the group. That way I'm aware, and that way if Donald Duck comes back and says, hey, miss, my group members didn't let me participate, then I can say, well, your group members tried reaching out to you in 5 different occasions, a week had passed by and you didn't answer. So they had to move on without you. So I'm sorry, you're getting a 0 because you didn't communicate with your group members timely. Okay. It is very important that as soon as I post the group distribution, you all start reaching out to your group members and establish communication. How are we going to be communicating with each other as a group? Okay. On top of the group project, students will be completing a self and peer evaluation. That is a requirement. If the student fails to submit the self and peer evaluation, they're going to get a 0 on the entire assignment. The self and peer evaluation in itself is not a gradable item, but I will be using it to be able to figure out who participated and not. Therefore, I require that every student complete a self and peer evaluation. They're going to evaluate themselves and they're going to evaluate their peers. Okay. And I'll show you in a bit where to locate that. Okay. So the group project, there will be 1 submission per group. So you will find or identify a group leader that will be responsible to submit the completed presentation. So that is 1 submission per group, and then the self and peer evaluation will be 1 submission per student. All students will be completing the self and peer evaluation. Okay. Please keep any correspondence, because what has happened in the past is students are, they have conflicts as to you didn't let me participate, or I tried to participate, or I contributed and you're telling me I didn't. Keep the communication that way. If an issue arises, I'll be asking that from you, and then we can figure out what in reality happened. So always try to document your information. That way we have a paper trail behind it. Okay. You can use Blackboard messages to communicate with each other. You can use Pronto, or as a group. Once all of you have established communication, then you all can decide how to communicate going forward. But to establish the initial communication, students can send a Blackboard message or a Pronto message, and then you all can proceed to identifying the best way to communicate in the future. Okay. No late assignments will be accepted. The group research project is due on December the 1st. Now, mind you, that week will be the Thanksgiving holiday. Okay. Week 14 runs from November 25th through December the 1st. So from Thursday through Sunday, the college will be closed for the Thanksgiving holiday, but I will allow students to complete and work on the project all the way to Sunday. Okay. I encourage you to work on it early and submit it early. That way you can enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday. But just know that you will have 2 full weeks. You're going to have from November 18 all the way through December 1st to complete the project. So you will have more than enough time to complete it. Okay. Now, these are the instructions. These can be found in Blackboard. Please print them out. That way you can ensure that you meet all of the requirements. Okay. Now, on top of that, I have the grading rubric. How am I going to grade? Okay. So let me download this. Okay. So what I basically did is I assigned points to each of the sections. Depending on how well you meet the requirements for each of the sections, these are the points available. As you can see, the differences have a higher weight because that is the core of the project. Your notes have a high weight. So this will give you your 100-point scale. This is how I will be grading your project. Okay. So that is also included. Now, I did mention the group project self and peer evaluation. I've uploaded a file. Please download the file. Let me go ahead and download it and complete it. Okay. So you're going to enable the editing. On top, you're going to put your name up here. Okay. The student's name. Down here on the first section, this is where you're going to type up your group members' names. Okay. So Pedro Gomez, Maria Cantu, James Avery, whatever the names of the students are, and then you're going to be assigning scores. Okay. So if the student never participated or never did anything, you're going to put a 0. Okay. Rarely we'll give a 1. Sometimes or occasionally we'll get a 2, and all or most of the time a 3. So you're going to be giving a score between a 0 and a 3 for each of the criterias. Okay, so did the group member participate in discussion, brainstorming ideas? The first student rarely, the second student all the time, so on and so forth. And then you're going to assign score. Maybe this student did an awesome job, so let's say this student is Jose Perez. Okay, and this student did amazing. He was our team lead and he did excellent in all categories. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 points. Okay, now my second student is Maria Perez. Okay, well, let's do Maria Garcia. Okay, so participated in discussions, never. Maintained a positive attitude, rarely. Contributed to work, rarely. Responded to emails, sometimes. Met established group deadlines, 0. Okay, so then 2, 3, 4, 5. Maria gets 5 points. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, now here in the students' comments, you can type up any detailed information that you feel. Jose did an amazing job. Well, Maria never contributed. We tried reaching out to her. She didn't complete her work correctly. We had to revise it for her or whatever. Okay, give me the detailed information. That way, I'm going to look at everybody's submission for your group and I'm going to see if it aligns. Okay, if everybody says that Maria did not do anything, then why should Maria get equal amounts of points? Let's say your group got a 95 and Maria didn't do anything. Okay, she only did the title slide. Okay, should Maria get a 95? No, because she didn't participate. Okay, so this is going to help me evaluate your participation, and I honestly hope that all of you get a score of a 15. Please help each other out. This is a group project. Another thing to note is that I grade the group project as a whole. I've had students come back and tell me, Miss, I worked on slides 4 and 7 and they were amazing. And I go back and I look at slides 4 and 7 and yes, they are amazing. But the rest of the presentation is very low quality. Okay, so I am not grading on slides 4 and 7. I am grading on the presentation as a whole. Okay, so if the presentation as a whole is not coherent, is not informative, is not well developed, then you're not going to get a good grade even though your 2 slides are amazing. Okay, that is why it is very important that you work together, that you review each other's work to make sure that all of the slides meet the criteria, are very well explained, meet the requirements, and all of them are amazing. That way you can get an overall excellent score. Okay, so you will be filling this out, saving it, and then re-uploading it for grading. Okay, you can re-upload it back as a Word document, or once you have it completed, you can PDF it and you can send it over that way. It does not matter. Okay, for the self and peer evaluation, you can do either or. For the presentation, I do need the file to be in PDF. Okay, so when you upload your assignment here for the group research project, please make sure that when you upload it, that you upload it in PowerPoint. Okay, that way I can be able to review it, do a word count, make notations, stuff like that. Okay, now I'm going to jump over quickly and I'm going to show you kind of like an overview of what my expectations are. Okay, you're going to have your title slide. You can do it however you want. I have no specific layout. This is just a very brief overview just to kind of like provide you with an overview of what is it that I'm expecting. Okay, so you're going to have your title slide and your title, GAAP versus IFRS. These are the team members. I've got Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Daisy Duck. Make sure that you outline the group members that participated, okay? Only that participated, okay? Now I'm going to show you an example of a slide, okay? Very clear, to the point, very brief information being provided. So here we have understanding GAAP and IFRS, and we have one general statement that talks about GAAP and then one general statement that talks about IFRS. So these statements are just setting the tone as to what we're going to cover in the notes. So if you notice, the notes section has a lot more information. If you notice here, I've got the site. I got this information from Fernando 2023. I've got this information from Palmer 2022. Okay, so in-text citations are being provided. Okay, now that is on your slide. Your slide has key phrases and the citations. Oh, sorry about that. And citations, we've got a picture here. Now on the notes are below the slide. Okay, this is where you're going to type up your research. Okay, name of student who worked on this slide. This slide was done by Donald Duck. Okay, that way I know who worked on this information. Okay, and then here we have, we're comparing IFRS and GAAP, Global Financial Reporting Standards, okay? So the top section talks about IFRS. Now, if you notice, there's citations included. Citations should be included after every sentence if you obtain information from a source. Do not give me a whole bunch of information and then just list your sources at the end. No, that is not what I need. I need you to include a citation. So this first sentence that we have here, it was obtained from Palmer 2022. Okay, the same thing for the next sentence. Now the third sentence we was obtained from IFRS 2023, and so was the last sentence. Okay, so if you see there are citations after every sentence, make sure that you put it into your own words. The same thing for the next section, talks about GAAP, and then here we have the Fernando and we have the CFI team 2023. Okay, so citations are being included. That is how I need the information to be presented. Okay, so you have key information on the slide, you include citations on the slide. Okay, key phrases, do not overload the slide with information. And then on your notes section, that is where you're going to elaborate. This is where you need to meet the word count requirements, okay? So make sure that the research is included in your notes, okay? When you are presenting your information, I've had students have wonderful information on their notes. And then when they actually verbally, present, they don't go over any of that information. If you took the time to research it and put it in your notes, it should be important. Please explain it to us, okay? We don't see the notes. Okay, well, I do because I'm the instructor, right? But when, you're presenting this to a group of people, they will only be seeing the title slide. So all of this additional information is supplemental information that is critical to be able to properly, explain the topic that you have on the slide, okay? So if you took the time to include it, please share it with us, okay? Do not be shy. That is what it's there for, okay? And then last but not least, you've got your references. You're going to put your reference list together in alphabetical order, okay? As you can see here, we have a whole bunch of references. Please make sure that you have them in alphabetical order included, okay? So this is just a quick overview of the expectations. I wanted to show you because sometimes students can't visualize what I mean when I say in-text citations in the slide and in the notes. So I went ahead, you don't have to bold it. I bolded it so you could see, it could stand out that we do have in-text citations in the notes, okay? And don't forget to include your name on each of the slides, okay? So I hope this provides you with some guidance as to what my expectations are. Now, my recommendation is when you are done completing the entire presentation, you set some time aside as a group to review each other's work and be able to provide constructive criticism. Okay, make sure that if Donald Duck was supposed to work on the history of IFRS and GAAP, but you feel it is just not explaining enough or whatever, help each other out. You know what? Let's do some additional research so we can add a little bit more of information into slide number 2 and 3, or whatever the case might be. Okay, remember this is a group project. If one or two or three or the majority of the slides are lacking in information or are not fully satisfying the requirements, it's going to affect all of you. So please make sure that as a group you review each other's work, you help each other out, you do additional research to make the needed revisions to get your presentation to where it needs to be. Okay, this is a letter grade, 100 points that are very easy to earn if you put your time and effort into it. I am giving you 2 weeks to develop this presentation. You're going to be in groups where you can distribute the works amongst each other. So it shouldn't take you very long to put your work together. And then just once it's all put together into one presentation, then you can just do a thorough review and make sure that students understood the requirement and have satisfied the requirement. Now I do want to show you let me see. Under the module overview, course learning outcomes, you will find the lecture that you're listening to right now. Okay, you'll find the lecture, and you have some additional resources on how to add audio to PowerPoint, a video about APA formatting for PowerPoint, and adding speaker notes for PowerPoint. Okay. If you have any questions or concerns, or you are not very familiar with PowerPoint, there's just a wealth of YouTube videos out there. If you have questions about specific requirements, please feel free to contact me. Don't guess. Get your questions clarified. Either send a Blackboard message, a Pronto message, post it in the discussion forum, whatever works for you to get your questions answered. Okay, but I provided as many resources as I can to be able to make this a successful project. All of the information is included. I will be posting those group distributions as soon as possible. And I really look forward to getting those completed presentations over on my end and being able to listen and viewing each of your work. And then once I receive them, I will be reviewing them, analyzing them, and then providing you with group feedback. That way you can get some feedback regarding to what you did amazing on and some areas for improvement. Okay, so I wish you all a wonderful experience. I hope this allows you to collaborate with your classmates and further develop group presentation skills that are so much needed in the workforce. Okay, so that is it for this presentation, and I look forward to your completed GAAP versus IFRS group research. Okay, have a wonderful day, and until next time, bye bye.